George of the jungle.
Well, one of the great trends going on out there is that everybody's very conscientious about their credit score. And when they come in to get their mortgage inquiry and to apply for a mortgage loan, so many people are disappointed that their credit score is lower than what they thought it was. And it's primarily because they're using a different credit scoring model without understanding the differences. So what we're discussing in the creditjungle.com today is the difference between your real scores and your Fako scores. And I'm not dismissing them that they're fake, but that's what we're going to be going through today. My name is George Anderson. Been in the mortgage industry since 1989. Credit scores didn't show up on credit reports, on mortgage credit reports, until 1996. They weren't used in the decision-making process until 1998. But there are some helpful things, and I think anybody that's monitoring their credit, using a scoring model, regardless of what kind you're using, if you're engaged in positive behavior, paying your bills on time, keeping your credit card balances down to a fairly modest use, and especially not going over the limit, your score, you're going to have a good score. But to try to figure out how to maximize that score for the type of financing you're trying to get, it's going to be different, whether you're applying for a credit card or an auto loan or a mortgage. So, for example, the Fair Issac Company has 4 different auto lending score models, and each dealership could be using a different one. Credit card companies, there are 5 different credit scoring models, Fico models, for the credit card industry. Now, the mortgage industry uses primarily the Fico 04 or the Fico Classic version. So there's 2 other versions. They don't get seen quite as frequently, but you need to understand what drives that one, because your mortgage Fico score is what's going to determine your interest rate. It's what's going to determine the rate on your mortgage insurance. And it can also affect the amount of money that you might have to put down. So you might have to put up a larger down payment if your credit score is below a certain threshold. So what are the differences between like your Credit Karma score and your Fico mortgage score? So we're just going to dive into this just for a little bit, just so that you understand some of the differences. So the main difference between a Vantage score and your Fico mortgage score is the amount of time it takes to establish that score. You can have a Vantage score established with 1 month of reporting on it. If you paid your bill one time for that month, you're going to have a Vantage score, and it's probably going to look pretty good. Fico is going to require that you have 6 reporting periods, which is going to be about 7 months to be able to even get onto the radar screen. So that's where Fico can be a little bit more demanding on that. The other one is tax liens and judgments. Tax liens and judgments, for the most part, stopped reporting to credit bureaus in 2017, and they're not considered in the score as much by the Vantage score, but a little bit more by Fico if they're still on there, if you have some old stuff that's on there. And there's ways to clean that up, and I'm happy to work with customers to show them how to do that, because that will help the score quite a bit as well. But that's another negative, where it would pull down your score a little bit using the Fico score. And then another thing is inquiries on there. The Fico model allows you to do same trade line or same product inquiries over a 45-day period, and it's considered one inquiry. Now, I am getting this directly from the Fair Issac Company website, and I will put a link to where you can see that. A lot of people have questions about that, but Vantage score gives you a little bit shorter window, 14 days. But again, most people don't shop for a vehicle for 14 days. Most people, if they go onto the lot, they know that you're probably going to walk off of the lot with a vehicle that day. Not the same with a mortgage loan, so you get a little bit more time on that. And then the last thing on there is the snapshot versus the movie picture. One of the things that I like about the Fico scoring model is that it's a photograph. I mean, it's a snapshot in time based on where you're at today. So it's almost easier to manipulate your Fico score, because if you are overusing your credit cards and you can pay down a balance, we can do a rescore, we can figure out the scoring, the timing and the reporting when that's going to happen, and we can quickly pay down some balances on a credit card, which sometimes is the best way to go, sometimes it's not. We've talked about that in another video, but you can rescore it, and based on the snapshot here to the snapshot here, it's going to look like, oh, well, this is much better because those balances are lower and we're going to get a much higher score with it. Vantage score is more like a movie, and it says, oh, well, you're moving in that direction, but you were here, now you're here, so your average might be somewhere in between. So there are some differences between it, and it's important to know how to use them, but Vantage score typically gives you a high-end range of about 900, whereas on the Fico score, you're only going to be about in the 840s is about the tops, 830s realistically. So somebody who tells you that you've got a 900 Fico score is not speaking the correct language on there. So there are some differences, and there's some advantages to understanding how they work differently and working with a good mortgage professional that understands, what are the factors affecting your score, how much leverage can you get by paying down some balances, trying to delete some accounts, disputing maybe some things that shouldn't be on there in the first place based on statute of limitations. That's all part of the decision-making process, and ultimately it's going to allow you to get a better loan with lower mortgage insurance with less money down. And hopefully those are things that are all good for you if you're out there trying to buy a house. So hope to see you soon. Thanks for coming into thecreditjungle.com today. This is George Anderson. Press button, get mortgage professional, and I would be delighted to speak with you soon. Have a great day.